What was one of the biggest challenges you faced?
Self-talk and self-concept is everything. Giving yourself permission to explore that, to have failures and to find out what works for you. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
We all go through our own mental struggles. We all have mental health.
So, Camara is a mental health empowerment speaker, podcast producer, and creative communication facilitator, driven by a passion for promoting mental well-being, creating empowering educational experiences, and fostering community-building conversations. Focused on transforming stigma into strength. Camara advocates for personal transformation through meaningful dialogue and innovating communication strategies. Her work has reached diverse audiences, including notable communities like the Plus Me Project, Ground Floor Club, and the Summit for Transformative Learning, where she has inspired others with her message of resilience and self-empowerment. Known for her deep ability to connect with others, Camara blends her expertise in mental health advocacy, podcasting, content strategy, and creative communication workshops to cultivate spaces where people feel seen, heard, empowered to share their journey, and find the ability to connect with anyone.
Thank you so much, Ekaterina.
Thank you, Camara. Thank you for being here today. I'm so happy to have you to be here, part of the podcast, and helping with this project to come to fruition and blossom. I really appreciate you.
I'm so honored and happy to be here, and I'm really excited for this conversation and to be able to share it with y'all here who are listening and here who are live. Woo!
Amazing. All right, I've got a few questions here ready for you. So the first one will be, your work focuses on turning stigma into strength. Can you share a pivotal moment where this transformation became personal for you and how it shaped your journey in mental health advocacy?
Yeah, whenever I think about times that have been shifting stigma into strength, I feel like I go through cycles in my life where I have to restart and refigure out where and who I actually am as a person. I think we all have had our challenges and our pivotal moments where we have to go through the battle to really see who we are again. I go back in high school. I know we've all been there when we're trying to figure out, how are we trying to fit in? Who are we trying to be? Who are we trying to impress? And really the person it should be is yourself, and you don't realize that until a little bit later in life, mostly. When I was in my junior year of high school, I was going through a little bit of a rough time mentally. I was having a lot of different kind of anxiety, and I had a few different friend issues, was going through some bullying, and I lost about my whole friend group into one kind of setting. One of my friends came up to me one day and was like, "We do not want to be your friend anymore." Wow. It was one of those times of a disagreement I had with a friend, and it led to, as you know, just sometimes people will have disagreements. And that, as a 16-year-old, that's devastating. You've lost, you think you've lost these people who are supposed to know you and love you, and you feel like that's a hurt on yourself. But then when you reflect on it in life, I look back and I'm not mad and sad about the issues that we've gone through in high school. I look back on that being such a pivotal moment of me choosing me after that. Basically after the bullying and after my school in California, I was in Northern California, cut all of our arts classes to focus on the football program. I knew that no matter what, I wanted to change schools. That was a goal of mine. My family, we went on this road trip to go to Utah. My mom was a still photographer back in the day for the Sundance Institute. And so we were going to go and see her work. We stopped in this town. We went from Vegas to St. George to start, and we found the Tuacahn Amphitheater. We drove up this winding road and to this kind of Lion King-esque, just red rock mountain, very Snow Canyon State Park, and found the Tuacahn Amphitheater and what was at the time Tuacahn Performing Arts High School, and walked around, looked around. My mom's like, "How would you like to go to school here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would love that. Sign me up." So somehow within a day or two, I submitted to the lottery system. It was a charter school, and a few weeks later, I had gotten in and I began the process of realizing I was going to begin a whole new life my senior year of high school in a completely new state, a completely different culture within religion. I was so excited. Everyone around me was like, you're going to know no one. Aren't you scared? Aren't you sad? Why are you doing this? It's like, I'm going to know no one. I can't wait. Oh, wow. That's just, right now, that's the refreshing thing I needed. And it really was. By restarting myself in that way, I was able to really just be myself. That last year of high school, I had 1 year to just not care and really just be the most authentic person. And I made lifelong friendships there and really built who I wanted to be and learned more about my mental health. And that's, I think, my beginning journey in becoming an advocate for you can always start over. You don't have to move states. You do not have to move schools. You do not have to change anything. You just have to choose yourself and change the energy you're in. So.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. This is so powerful and this is so true. And I feel especially as like artists and creatives, in order for us to express ourselves and be our authentic selves, we have to stretch our limits. We have to step into that zone. Like, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be loved? Like, am I going to be an outcast? And at the same time, it's good to remember that outcasts are actually the ones who shape this world. So thank you for sharing that story and thank you for being so vulnerable. And, as like I'm witnessing you going into like the depths of your soul, I wonder like how do you create spaces where people feel empowered to share their mental health stories? What strategies have you found most effective in fostering vulnerability and trust?
I find that I think we all in life have a form of creativity that just lives inside of us where we want to share. Like that story that I made into a musical called Going Mental. And that is kind of how, that's actually like the next part of that was I made like a high school musical kind of like what's the right way of talking about depression and anxiety. And that made me realize the way to do it is to talk about it, is to find out how many different people are like basically feeling stigmatized by the ability to be vulnerable when you are able to find communities where you can be vulnerable and when you can be your authentic self and you can start sharing that with, you develop deeper connections, you develop deeper spaces. And I learned that with the work that I was creating, whether it was in film, whether it was in podcasts, I'm like, I want to be making a difference. I want people to feel like they have a space here. And with a lot of the work I've done has been fostering communities and helping different people, whether it's build communication skills or feel they have community. I've worked with a lot of community platforms like The Mighty and a lot of people there who were in different mental health groups and felt alone. And when they found the community, whether it was online, messaging each other and realizing other people were going through depression or had anxiety, they found that community. They found that they were able to relate. And so for me, my goal within, whether it's the workshops I do or whether it's the people I meet, is to find ways to bring up simple vulnerabilities and make that the strength. Make that something that you can own proudly. You don't have to open up the whole wound to the people. You don't have to share every dark secret immediately. But you can be okay with saying you have anxiety. Like we all do. We all go through our own mental struggles. We all have mental health. And the way that we're going to actually tackle the mental health crisis is starting with uncovering that we all deal with mental health. And if we do not take care of our mental health, as Katie Moore would say, that is when you create mental illness in some states, is because you will not take care of it. So we need to foster community. We need to be able to open up to the people in our inner communities or build communities where we can talk about it openly.
Mm-hmm. So. Thank you. So basically by being vulnerable ourselves, we give other people permission
to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so, you put so much energy into empowering others, including myself. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. That means a lot to hear.
And what gives you life force in your own journey, and how do you share that with the world?
I feel like going back through my life, I find that it is the little joys that get me up in the morning. I feel like dancing and waking up and realizing that every day is a new day. I think that has been a really big quote I've learned to live by. Everyone has the quote of, knows like, oh, you got to live every day as though it's your last. And I've never liked that quote. I've never felt aligned with it. I've always felt live every day as though it's your first. And because then it's a new beginning, and you can make mistakes, and you can try new things, and you can be a different person, or you can be the same person and try something new. It's just that fresh step. And I feel like that is what gets me up in the morning. That's what kind of motivates me in life, is like, oh, today's a new day. Today's a new day that I get to do something new. Today's a new day where I can be a new version of myself, or I can just be me and see what happens. It doesn't have to be the most overwhelming thing. I think we think of like, oh, what's the biggest motivator in our life? I'm like, I'm a mental health advocate. I have so many things that I'm passionate about and I want to do in my life. But I'm like, when I think of what actually motivates me and what really empowers me to do those things, it's the little things, the cup of tea in the morning, the knowing that I'm going to see a familiar face, whether it's at my co-working space or down the street when I take my walk. Like, it's the little things that kind of motivate me to get through the day and then build to the bigger kind of goals that I have.
Right. And especially like, I feel as people who are wanting to do good in the world, at times we can feel depleted, we can feel burnt out. And I remember I was talking to an environmentalist, and she's like, Sky, you just got to celebrate the little wins, like, and she's like, if you don't, you burn out, because there's always something to do. There's always an animal to save. There's also another human life to improve. There's always to give someone a hug, right? And so taking care of ourselves, it feels so important, taking care of our own mental health.
Yeah.
And the way you say, like, that your life force is in little things in life, it's so powerful, because it feels like in our society, it's like when you're going to get to that big thing, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
And, I personally had 5 immigrations in my life. I lived in many different countries, and you're like, you're going to get to America and you're going to live this American dream. It's so beautiful. It's so perfect. You're always going to be happy. It is not true.
No.
I lived that, done that. No, thank you. It really is in the little things in life. And I'm sure for you as well, is seeing the difference in people's lives that you make when you give that life force back to them.
Yeah, giving back is so important. And I think also like learning that happiness is not something that is a choice in my mind. It is, your attitude is a choice, but happiness is something that comes and goes. It's something you find along the way. And I think that taking happiness also off the pedestal of like this impossible thing that we're trying to always reach makes it so much easier to have in our lives, because then we find it through the little things. We learn to be happy with what we have, and then we're able to build to the bigger goals.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also I feel like failures, for example, are perceived as like this like taboo things, when in reality it's better to fall forward than to fall back or not move at all.
Yes. Fail fast.
Yes.
And enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for sharing the way that your internal world is. And I want to ask you a few questions about your impact and the future vision. So what have been some of the most impactful outcomes you've witnessed throughout your work with communities like the Mighty?
Yes. So I've worked across multiple different community platforms in my time. I've been a media and podcast producer for now kind of 6+ years, I guess 7+ of my life. And at the Mighty, one of the things that
Can you share with us what it is, just so people...
So the Mighty is a mental health, chronic illness based community platform. I had worked there at a time, and they had developed a space for people who could go to find connection over their conditions. And they had multiple different Facebook pages, the app, groups, Instagram, anything that you could find connection with, they had it, and they wanted to have their own community for these people who were going through different conditions. And I was producing podcasts, media, and live stream content. And one of the ways that I still think about today, of like my favorite part of that community, was being able to engage on the live streams and going live. And we had like something called a mental health happy hour, and we would have regulars who would come back and just talk about where they were at in their journey. And we would ask for their small wins, like what's the win of the week? Like, and the win can be like, I got to take a nap, I got to do laundry, I'm not doing too well, but I'm here today. And we would just have so much fun engaging with the community and showing them that they mattered. And I do that with my work today. No matter what community I'm engaging with, with, whether it's even in the B2B space or in a community space or in like a social club space. I want to bring people together so that no matter where you are at in life, whether you are at the top or whether you feel like you're at rock bottom, you feel like you belong. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. That's powerful, because I feel like more than ever with the economy just like being turned upside down, right? We feel all the inequalities and so many people losing their jobs, and it feels like the mental health is at its peak, right?
Yeah.
And for us to be able to share and to support one another, right? To uplift one another. And that's like one of the most important works that we can do, because when happy people, we take care of the environment, we take care of our animals next to us. So it all comes from within.
Yeah.
And
it's a circular motion of like, we all need to, like, if you are taking care of yourself and you're giving back to others, then it comes back in waves. Like letting somebody else like acknowledge that they're taking care of themselves and they feel good, and then you're taking care of them in a way. It's about building community and finding ways to help when people are in need, but also to support when they're having wins. Every win is valid and kind of gets you a step further.
Right.
And we need to acknowledge that even when we have days that are smaller. And I learned that by like the different companies I've worked with and communities I've facilitated with.
beautiful. And I have a question for you that is a surprise question. It wasn't on the question list. What was one of the biggest challenges you faced, as a creative, as you were creating impact? And how did you overcome it? And what advice you would share with others that came from it, so we can learn together?
I feel like so many different challenges
The one that
have
comes
come
to
through
mind.
my life. But I feel like the challenges is what really molds you as a person. I mean, I feel like this year has been like a challenge in a way where I've really gotten to define myself and know myself. And I think who I am again, I think, has been a bigger challenge. Resetting with like, I have ADHD and learning to provide like actual structure for me that was outside of the job that I have now, and outside of the one I had before, had been something that was a really big challenge for me. And I look back on right after college too, it was a similar challenge of providing structure. And I was really hard on myself for a while of why can't I get it right? Why can't I build the structure? Why is this person able to do all the things and I can't without this X, Y, and Z structure? And I realized after being kinder to myself and kinder to just the world around me, that I was able to take things one day at a time and implement the structure, gain, like now have the job that I have and the different people that I get to work with and all the different communities I've been able to like connect with. I'm like, oh, the structure comes from the community. It comes from building things one at a time and not being hard on yourself, like giving yourself permission to explore that, to have failures and to find out what works for you, because not every structure that's going to work for Bob or Maria is going to work for you. Like everyone needs to find what works for them and be patient and be kind to themselves on that journey.
Oh my God, it's so true. And I feel like whenever we set our goal, and then the biggest job, the biggest work that we have is actually to make sure that we can continue moving forward without the self-sabotage and the stories, especially as creatives. We are such perfectionists at time. Tried to overcome it many times and working it. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure many people in this room do as well. And so like being able to be kind to yourself, as you said, right? Like that's like one of the main things. And like I even like heard this one woman, what she does, she talks to herself like she does to her pup. You know, she's like, oh my God, you're so sweet, you're so cute, don't worry about it, I love you. And it's
We
like,
have to be our biggest fan.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, really, truly, it's all about how we speak to ourselves in our mind. And that's then is being projected and showcased in our work and an ability to create more work, right?
Yes. Self-talk and self-concept is everything. Like, it's not about ego. It is about how you view yourself as a whole human being every step of the way, and that you are wonderful and amazing every step of that. And yes, there's room for growth and improvement, but loving yourself every level of that growth. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Loving yourself. Yes. And so, you know, I feel like people might want to stay in touch with you and also like to learn more about what's your upcoming projects. And I also know you do coaching and like what's the journey and how would you share with us?
Yeah, so basically, I am a podcast producer and content strategist. Currently, work with some B2B podcast companies and also different individuals who are on their podcast journeys. Like, I love the art of conversation and connection and getting people connected back to themselves and to the world around us. We have so much disconnect, and that's something that I like to provide a space for. I also have a communication workshop that I do through facilitating basically the art of podcasting through groups of individuals like yourselves, like anyone who don't know each other very well, to find that they can find common ground with anyone. So that's some of the stuff I do. You can find my work on my website, camararauen.com, my Instagram, Camara Rauen, a little play on words, CamaraRollin. I got that in camp, and I never let it go. So, but yeah, you can find my work there. I'm really excited about, I'll be hosting more communication workshops within the art of podcasting. You do not have to be a podcaster to do these workshops. I do them at conferences, co-working spaces, team companies. And if your company would like one of these that can help provide better morale and connection and communication, you can reach out to me.
Yeah, and also one of my favorite things to talk to you about is really truly like how the importance of having storytelling in whatever it is that you do. Because storytelling really drives your message, it drives your art, and that's how you're able to connect with the rest of the world.
Yes.
So if any of you want to talk to Camara about that, I highly recommend. She's very inspiring, and she can help bring your vision into a beautiful story that can be shared with the world.
Thank you, Ekaterina.
Thank you, Camara.
I'm so grateful for this.
Yay!
Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Wow.